You're watching Pyro Media Network.
I gotta tell you something I could do. I could be running or I'm chasing you, but I won't. Cause I got better things to do. Rather spend my precious time chasing somebody who loves me too. If I got $1 for every time you slam the door, I would be the richest girl alive, live. If you hadn't run away every time I asked you stay, you would sleep right next to me tonight. But you didn't know me, all you wanted was a game to play, and you couldn't handle that I had my ways. Around your magic,
Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We hope your experience is fruitful. Please feel free to visit our website to find out how you can join our growing family. While we are loading your experience, please do us a quick favor and hit that like button from whichever platform you're watching or listening on. Also, share so others may enjoy as well. And we hope you would consider hitting that subscribe or follow button so you can check out more of our amazing content. All right, let's start the show.
VICKtorious. VICKtorious. Hey, everybody. Happy Friday, Junior. I'm so excited. It is officially, well, I guess it's been fall for a long time, but the time didn't change. It now gets dark at like 1:30 in the afternoon. You know, it's pitch black. What's going on? It's horrible. It's about to start raining here in Los Angeles, but nonetheless, we will push through and carry on. Side note, I watched the opening again, and I did not notice that my producer snuck in a picture of my friend John, and I almost had a moment there. I was like, oh, John is forever here with us here on Dr. VICKtorious. So happy to see him pop up. I guess I missed it the first time. It's all good. Anyway, welcome back. We're here to explore the intersections of social justice, wellness, public health, and all the good things from a Black perspective, because I am Black, and that's it. I'm your host, Dr. Nicole D. Vick. Today's conversation is going to be really, really cool. We're going to need to pause, reflect, and feel some things. I have Tammy Triolo on tonight. She's a truth teller, a cultural strategist, and author of a new book, The Empathy Gap. I have it right here. We have a lot of things happening in this country. We're fractured, and folks are very strongly held to their beliefs. They don't want to hear what other people are talking about. They don't care. We are emotionally disconnected. We are in denial of a lot of things, and Tammy's work is going to help us remember that empathy is not just about being kind. We have to be accountable to each other, right? Making sure we see each other's full humanity, even when we don't really want to, but we have to, right? So it's really not about calling people out. I know we're in the era of calling people out. We're going to try to call folks in, bring folks in together. And so this is going to be a great episode. But before we get to Tammy, we got to do our scroll stroll. I love the new format of this podcast. We have the scroll stroll, and with the scroll stroll this week, I'm bringing on a special guest, because what had happened was my friend watched the previous episode and was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But girl, you massacred the scroll stroll on one key point, and I don't know what's wrong with you. So I said, listen, this is what we finna do. I'm gonna bring you on, and we're gonna walk through this week's scroll stroll together so that I don't mess it up. Okay. So let's get to the scroll stroll, and let me bring my home girl on, Jackie Provost, come through.
Hi.
Help me scroll through the scroll.
I'm gonna do what I can. Let's go on a stroll.
Together, holding hands as we walk down the street.
Kumbaya.
I have known Jackie forever. I think we've tried to quantify. I don't know. I forgot what year we landed on, but it's been a long time. Yes, we just stick with that. We're both public health people. She has her MPH, as do I. Professor, I was a professor. We've done all the things together, so it's really good to have her here. And she's good on top of politics, more so than I am. Like I'll be listening, but it's like up here. She be in it. So anyway, let's go with the first one. We gonna run this back. Mom Donnie Part 2.
Yeah.
Okay, let me read it, and then you get the biggest city in the U.S. has a new mayor. I think I said governor. Help me out, Jackie.
Yes. We got Mondani, the people's mayor. You know, he came through a progressive Democrat, didn't really get the support of the establishment, but he really was able to connect across the various demographics of Democrats in New York. He spoke to what the people needed. He was a direct opposition for our current administration, and he inspired hope, I think. And I think people are really looking for change, and that's what we got.
I agree. And I don't know if this is true or not. And it probably is. I heard that he literally was like door to door, like people was out in the streets door knocking, like, listen, let me talk. Let's have a conversation. Yes. Because people were kind of, oh, I don't know. And the sad part about it is like you would see former Governor Andrew Cuomo talking about, this whole anti-Muslim thing, because of course, Mr. Mondani is Muslim, which is, I have Muslim friends and I love them. They were beautiful people, taught me a lot about Islam that I didn't know. So I'm like, what's wrong with him being Muslim? I don't like, I'm over here like, what's the problem?
We celebrate diversity. It makes us stronger.
He was, Mr. Cuomo was trying to play, oh, he gonna do this, all this stuff, and it's like,
yeah, nice.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? Have you been to New York?
Not only did he go door to door, but he was at the club. He had people pull out their cameras. He was out there. He was in the streets.
He was in the streets. And you have to be in the streets. I remember our own council member, Marquise Harris Dawson. I remember that him, and I think even Karen Bass was in like the same thing. That same, like, we got to go knock on people's doors and really have conversation, because I think that ultimately is what matters. Like, you got to talk to folks and make that connection, and then they feel connected to you, and they're like, oh yeah. So awesome. I'm excited to see what happens. Of course, we're gonna be watching him like a hawk. You already know how that goes. Waiting for him to do something wrong. But I hope the best for him and the best for the city of New York, the city of New York. I did good. All right. Our next one. Let's do some federal updates. I'm gonna start with the one that I originally started with, and I know you had some other things to add, Jackie, that are really, really important. No problem. So, Representative Adelita Grijalva was sworn into Congress Wednesday. Listen, after 50 days. So she had won her election, but somebody refused to swear her in for 50 days, playing games. Because I think this had to do something with the Epstein files. I think, you know what I'm saying? And
she was the necessary vote. She was going to be the guaranteed vote to release those files. And Johnson said, well, let's just go on recess. People calling him. He ain't answering the phone. We know how to dodge people. We, leave the phone, let the phone ring. But finally it happened. And I'm really happy for them and the people of Arizona, because that specific district that she represents didn't have nothing. If something was wrong, they had nobody to call. They couldn't do nothing. She didn't have access to nothing because she wasn't sworn in. She couldn't do anything. And so it was really a situation where people were without representation. And I feel like that is crazy. So thankfully that happened. And I from what I understand, she replaced her father who passed away, right? So, this whole idea of legacy too is really, really important. So Jackie, tell us what else is going on federally that I missed. The big thing, federal workers are back to work. Hopefully our airlines and airports are back up and functioning. So today, everyone returned. The continuing resolution was signed last night by the president, and that takes us through January. Holdout?
Wait, so are them people that was working that had to continue to work? Are they gonna get their back pay?
So that was part of the continuing resolution that was signed. Yes, they are guaranteed their back pay. They will get that. Yes, I know that's most important. I don't think people realize how much of a sacrifice our federal workers made in these last 40 plus days. You know, I mean, we were all asking to hold the line, not to cave, because people were really trying to fight for those subsidies. You know, in the work that I do in a community, I work for a community clinic, and we provide assistance for folks to enroll into Cover California. We are now seeing folks that go from $200 a month to $600 a month, from $9 to $400, from $600 to $1,200. You know, and that's the lower income that are eligible for Cover California. I can only imagine those with higher incomes and the impact that it will have. And yet, we had 8 Democrats cave. You know, go on with a promise to take this to a vote later. Johnson has no interest in doing so. So even if they take a vote in the Senate, the House will also have to take a vote. And Johnson says he has no plans to do so. So again, you know, the Democrats, for some reason, wanted to trust these lying Republicans and put people's access to care on the line. And those federal workers, those families on SNAP, all did that sacrifice for what?
Right.
That's the hard part.
As Cardi B would say, what was the reason? If at the end of the day, folks was gonna cave, and trust me, I saw all over threads, them names was listed like, don't forget, right?
Don't forget.
Because this is a hot mess. Was there anything else? I think that was probably like the biggest.
That's the biggest thing. You know, I mean, I think folks should really look at what was in that continuing resolution. There's also $8 million that are going to 8 Republican Congress members directly to their pockets, about $1 million each. Yeah, these folks are real criminals. So let's do our homework. Let's understand how they just robbing us blind. And let's hold folks accountable, most importantly. 2026 is going to be really important.
Very important. Okay, we got 2 more. The last 2. 50-year mortgage. Let's just do this real quick. You have a mortgage, I have a mortgage. What you think? Yay or nay?
I say nay. No way.
Not
who benefits from that? Just make housing affordable. Stop with this madness. Just make housing affordable. It can be done.
Right. So quick one thing, and I thank you for putting that one up. That's actually the most important graphic. Like, so you buy a house for $500,000, you're gonna end up spending $1 million in interest over the life of that loan. 50 years.
Wow.
You have to buy your house at 5 years old.
Nicole, who wins on this though? Who wins here? It ain't the people. Who wins here?
Nobody. The banks, girl. The banks is like, let's do it. 50 years. They are like, and let's make car notes 15. Come on, they excited. Like, let's do this. It's a mess. You don't earn no equity in that house until what? Maybe year 25. Like, what is going on?
What are you doing?
It's crazy. So to your point, yes, we need to make housing affordable. Is this the way to do it? I'm gonna say no. And the last one, marriage equality. Miss Kim Davis, remember that lady in Kentucky? And I feel bad because I have a property in Kentucky. I'm like, come on, Kentucky, get it together. She's the baker. The baker, right? Yeah, she didn't want to. No, she was the one that the clerk, the marriage license lady.
Oh, yes, there's so many.
She keeps going to the Supreme Court, like, come on, overturn it. And the Supreme Court said, no, we will not hear anything about overturning marriage equality. We're not. So I am happy about that. People need to be allowed to marry who they love. It's your business. Right. Yeah. And Kim, nobody said you had to marry a woman. Go on. Mind your business and process.
You know what it is. You know what it is. She's mad because she can't live her truth. Whatever her truth is, she ain't living her truth, and she mad at everybody who can.
A word was spoken. A word was spoken. A word was spoken. Thank you, Jackie, for the scroll.
Thank you, Dr. Vick. This was so
I'll
fun.
See you next time. Come back when you have time. Right. We're going to go to commercial. Yay. Commercial time, y'all.
it's Pastor Kim from It's Just Kim Live Show, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
What's going on, y'all? It's Kwame Speaks from Kwame Speaks Live, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
Listen, that theme song, that was the best idea ever in my entire life. I don't know if it was me or my producer that came up with it, but whoever it was, that was amazing. The best idea ever. Anyway, y'all, we are back. That scroll was amazing. I'm going to keep doing that. I love it. So we're going to do that moving forward, bring in guests to come just kind of chit chat and just bounce this stuff off, because I'll be seeing all kind of stuff on social media. And I promise y'all right now, they're very political, because that's kind of where my eye is leaning toward. We're going to start, put some little fun in there too. Don't worry. But now I have a very, very special guest that I met on LinkedIn. I don't know how many years ago. It was her and it was Vonda. And then Vonda left LinkedIn, then Tammy left LinkedIn. And then it was like LinkedIn is now dry because she not there no more. But she has an amazing book that she has written called The Empathy Gap. I have it sitting right here. Look at that. Hey. And I want to talk to her about the book and what prompted it and all those good things. So let's just bring her on, because we got to get to chit chat in. Hey, Tammy.
Hey, Dr. Vick.
I am so happy to have you on. When Kwame was like, hey, we should have Tammy on, I was like, for real? You got and I'm tripping because I got your phone number too. I don't know what the hell I'm thinking. But anyway, I'm so happy to have you here and to be able to speak with you on my podcast. I know we've talked before in the past on the phone, chit-chatting and things. And I will also say, you were very sorely missed on LinkedIn. And I'll be like, man, it show is dry.
Y'all make me feel so loved.
But I'm happy that you're here. I want to talk to you about this book and what you've been up to. Every time I do go on TikTok, which is not often, but when I do, it's like TikTok knows, put it right to her video. So I see you. I'm like, all right, she's doing all right. She good. So it's good to have you in this space. So
I'm so happy to be here.
We're just going to jump in. This book, The Empathy Gap, you started this book with what happened to our shared humanity. And I want to know what led you to write it and why now? Why is this book needed now?
I think the book has been needed for a very long time, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. But what prompted me to write it was the work that I do around diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? And in the space, in the DEI space, a lot of the work is around metrics, how many bodies we have in the building, how many different demographic we have, where do we slot these people in. And I remember working with a client. She was an attorney for a law firm, and they had 3 offices in Jersey, New York, and Philadelphia, and somehow managed to have all white law firms. And I said, you had to make an effort, right? Like, we're not talking about South Dakota, Iowa, and Idaho. We're talking about very populous, very diversity-drenched cities. And for you to be in a diversity-drenched city and still manage to have an all-white law firm and all these different offices, effort was made here. And so let's be honest about that. And I said to her, I said, I can come in and help you kind of navigate policy and conversations, I said, but I'm not going to help you bring in Black bodies into a hostile work environment simply because you want to say you have diversity there. I said, I think that attorney would be, I'd put them in the worst position. So let's talk about the culture you have, because you had to be intentional about this culture that you cultivated that only allowed white bodies in the space, right? So I know that there's a culture there. So let's talk about that culture. And does that culture, is it undergirded with empathy? Because if it's not, I'm not the DEI consultant for you. I will not help you do that work. And so we spent about a good year working together and kind of like reevaluating the culture, having harder conversations with her partners about the direction for the firm. And by the end, when we got done, they had hired a Black man, a Muslim woman that wore hijab, and somebody else. But the environment was empathy rich for them to be there. And so for my work, I just feel like empathy is central to how we get through racial conversations, how we get through conversations about sexuality and gender. And if we don't have that as the basis of the conversations we're going to have, then we're just going to be talking at each other and never understanding one another.
100% agree. And it's amazing that some of the things that you're talking about are some of the things that I focused on in my dissertation. I don't think we ever talked about this, but I decided to focus on the psychological safety of Black local health department employees in the United States. And, you know, public health is this institution that, and people hate this, but it's true. When we're doing our best, you don't see us. You don't see us until something happens. There's a Flint, Michigan, or there's COVID, right? But most of us come into the work because we're passionate about it. And of course, we also are educated. But we come into the space and realize, hold on, this entity is about equity, health equity, and reducing disparities, and but the way they do their work is actually the opposite of that. And so for Black people, we see it right away. We get in there like, now y'all done sat here and told this lie about what we talking about. And so when you talk about DEI, you know, sometimes people don't see public health work as DEI work, but it is.
I think it's fundamental. I think it's one of the most important works around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And you can't help bridge health disparity if you don't see the people as human as you. And so what is the thing that's going to make you see me as human as you? It is the level of empathy you have for other humans, irrespective of what they look like, the religion they come from, the people they love, right? The race they hold. If you can't see me as human to you, then all that other work that you're doing is for naught. It's a performance. It's not transformative. And so I wanted to write a book that helps both the Black reader and the white reader understand where the gap is, why the gap exists, and then how do we close it?
Absolutely. I think it's so, so important. And you're right. We have to understand and be able to see ourselves and other people. And I'm going totally, I'm just going to say this to people that are listening and watching. I'm going totally off the rails. I have notes here. I'm I have another question to ask. Like, because I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, how is it that some of us are, I feel naturally empathetic and some of us aren't? Like, and to your point, what you just said, I can be scrolling through LinkedIn and see a culture that is not of mine at all, children dancing, and I'm like, that is beautiful. I can see a man, he's singing, he's Muslim, and he's singing the prayer call. I'm like, I'm almost crying because it sounds so beautiful. I'm like, that is beautiful. I'm not Muslim, but I can see the beauty in it because I'm like, that's a beautiful thing, regardless of what it means. So I guess I want to ask you that, like, how, to me, it feels like some people are maybe naturally that way. I don't recall myself taking a class to learn to be this way. I just am. And some people just ain't got it. Like, what's that about?
I think based on the systems that we're born into, right? Being born Black puts you at the bottom of that hierarchical system, and in every category, whether that's race, education, wealth, health, right? Like Black people statistically always hit the bottom simply because we are Black. And so when you're at the bottom, you can look up and see other people's humanity. When you are at the top, you look down and you discount somebody's humanity. And so I think Black people kind of come into the world just by nature of us being Black and coming into a system already saying we are at the bottom. When you're at the bottom, you can look up. You can look up and you can see kindness. You can see hope. You can see all the things. Think about when you're looking down at somebody. There is a pointing, oppression that happens when you look down. So when you are in a hierarchical system, whoever is above you can always look up. And I think that's why, for me, I've talked about like how I think whiteness is inherently void of empathy, right? And when I use the term whiteness, I'm not just talking about people who inhabit white bodies. I'm talking about people who engage in the system of whiteness, because that system that created the systems we are all operating in, that system is built on genocide. That system is built on rape. That system is built on exploitation. And there's no way that you can build a country, a system of anything where you kill people, you rape people, you steal from people, you take from people and have empathy. It's impossible. So if you don't build a system with empathy, then it's hard for you, if you operate inside of whiteness, to have it. Whiteness is inherently void of empathy because it has to be in order to maintain control and dominance. Because you can't control and dominate somebody if you see them as human to you. What makes domination works is because I don't see you as human as me. Right. I don't see your value as value that is equal to mine. And so if I don't see your value as equal to mine, I can dominate you. Right. And white supremacy is about dominance. It's not about humanity. It's about dominance.
That is like, yeah. So, I just had to go off the rails on that for a second, because I'm like, wait, why does it feel that way to me? But I'm like, this is crazy. Thank you for making that make perfect sense. Now, let's talk about this scorecard, because I remember the scorecard. You created a tool called the Empathy Scorecard. Can you tell us what it is and how can people use it as a tool for reflection and growth? Especially like you said, some of us don't have sort of the empathy. How do we use this scorecard to help us?
So when I was teaching, I think was doing master classes around empathy. And I wanted to create something that gave people an entry to the work to understand what it is. Because when we say empathy, how many people say, oh my God, I'm so empathetic. And you go, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're thinking it, right? As they're saying it to you, whether it's your boss or your partner or your friend, and you're sitting at the table, you go, this, please. Like, okay, all right, I'll let you have it. And so I wanted to create something that gave people an understanding of what empathy looks like when you engage in the behaviors of it, right? Because if you just say the word, and people just go to the dictionary, oh, it's to feel the way somebody else feels, but there's behaviors that let somebody know that you actually have empathy, right? So when I was developing the scorecard, I wanted to do 8 sections around behaviors. And I remember when I was testing it on my, he was 13 at the time, my 13-year-old, and we were going through the section and we started at active listening because that's the first one on the card. And he goes, Mom, what does this have to do with empathy? And so I said to him, when you come home from school and you're excited about the day, right? And you want to tell me about the day and you're talking to me and it's obvious that I'm not really listening to you. How does that make you feel? And he says, well, I just stop talking and leave. I said, right, I know. But what does it make you feel? Does it make you feel ignored? Does it make you feel not important? That what you have to share with me isn't important? It isn't worth me listening. And he goes, okay, I understand it. So I wanted people to understand, when you say you have empathy, do you engage in the behaviors that demonstrate that you have this thing called empathy? And if you don't have the ability to actively listen to somebody, to be able to understand a perspective outside of your own, right? To use language that says empathy is present here. The ability to help people. When you have empathy, you help people. When you have sympathy, you can feel for them, but you can go on about your life.
Right.
Right? Like, oh, I feel so bad about the storms in Jamaica. Girl, what are we eating for dinner?
Right.
Right? But I could say I feel really bad about the storms in Jamaica. And do the charities help me? How do we send money, or how do we get food? Like, and especially down here in Florida, a lot of Caribbean people, the Bahamas doesn't do it. I just think because we're so close to the States, but most Caribbean people do something they call barrels. So there's shipping companies where you can go and just put things in these big barrels. And so I know so many Caribbean people who are going to shipping companies, just dropping off things to put in people's barrels, right? Because empathy says, I want to help. Sympathy says, I feel really bad, but I can turn the TV on and keep watching.
And keep moving. Yep. It's amazing. So you're right. Listening is the first thing. Because if you can't hear them, how can you even understand what their issues are, their concerns are, their wants, their needs, anything, if you're not even able to listen?
You're not able to listen.
And I think that there's some privilege in being able, to your point, to be able to be like, oh well, they ain't got nothing to do with me.
Nothing to do with me. And I think that has led us to the country we now have, right?
Oh, my God.
This is why we're here. You know, like whether it's the way the country is, where a workplace is, the way your own relationship is, just take the thing. This inability to empathize with the person across from you creates a marriage that is stagnant. It creates workplaces that still feel hostile, and it creates a country still divided. And so I know, like, when we think about the big issues of the world, I know we want a big answer. We need a complicated answer. And the answer is simply empathy.
That's it.
That's it. Like, if we engage with each other with empathy, we can shift the way that we engage with our world, right? One of my friends said to me, she said, you've created a great tool when people find other uses for it. Now, when I first did the Empathy Scorecard, I had a woman message me, and, you get a lot of messages on TikTok. I think the DMs go nuts. And she said, she sent me an email because she's like, I didn't want to get lost in your DMs. And she said, I just want to tell you, I think the scorecard is single-handedly saving my marriage. And I thought, what? like what? So she said that her and her husband had, they'd gone through a really hard time. And there was just, you've been married before. I've been married before. You know how the breakdown happens, right? You stop talking, you stop communicating. And she said, I think we both was just waiting for the other one to pull the trigger. Like, we knew it was going to happen, but we just didn't know. We didn't know who was going to be the one. She said, I've been following you on TikTok, and I'd seen you talk about this empathy scorecard, and you were developing it, and blah, 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 blah. She said, and one day I just got it. And she was doing the scorecard, and her husband asked her what she was doing. So she said, I'm doing an empathy scorecard. Because when I first developed it, you could print it out and write on it. Yeah. Now it's digital. So she was, he saw with these papers, and she says, I'm doing like an empathy test. And he said, and kind of walked away. So the next day she said, do you want to do it with me? And so she went online, got another one, printed it out for him. And she said, and then we exchanged our scorecards with one another. And I asked him, based on the answers I gave, would he have given me those same answers? She goes, and it made having conversations easier because we weren't asking each other the questions. She said, because we would ask, but it felt, like we were accusing each other.
Right.
She said, but the scorecard took that away.
Wow.
So now I'm just asking you, how well do you actively listen? I'm asking you the question from the scorecard. This ain't from me. This is from the scorecard. And so she said, we took a section like every night. One night we would just do the active listening section. She goes, so maybe we got through all 8 questions, or maybe we got through 2 or 4, and then we'd come back the next night. But she goes, we went section by section. And all of a sudden, when talking felt like we couldn't even do it, we were talking again.
That's great. Look at you. See, you creating stuff, saving people's marriages, saving the world, getting people connected.
I'm trying. And it's funny because I will send her an email just checking, and she's like, we're still doing good. She goes, but we were, and this was, the scorecard's been out almost 2 years now. And she said, no, we're still doing good. She goes, we still go back to it though. She goes, he'll be like, we need to revisit that, understanding perspectives. We need to go back and revisit that. And I love that. And I think, wow, like, okay, so this is why I created the tool. So that's why I created it. And then the book felt like an evolution of all the work, all the classes I've taught, all the consultations I've been in. just felt like put it in a book. Put it in a book. It
makes sense. And I'm so glad that you did. So we're getting ready to wrap up. It went by way too fast, but it is what it is. But you write about empathy as both a mirror and a lantern, a tool for truth and transformation. What does that look like in practice? And maybe your example kind of is that, but if there's anything else you want to add to that.
So a mirror is being able to take a real good look at yourself. And I know that as humans, and I say this as an avoidant, right? Like if it gets too heavy, if it gets too rough, I try to avoid myself. But I want you to look at yourself and about how you engage with empathy. And then once you can look at yourself and have that on your own reckoning, use what you got as the lantern to chart your course, to go forward in your life. And so I want people to think about empathy, about like, how do I reflect it? Not just for myself, but outside of myself. Because when we are reflective, everybody sees.
Yeah.
Everybody sees.
Yes. I love that. If you could leave listeners with one question to sit with after reading your book or hearing this conversation, what would it be? So this is our wrap-up question.
So the question I would tell people to sit with is, and this is going to sound weird because it's not the book, but have I been empathetic to myself? Have I been empathetic to myself? Because when we can practice it for ourselves, it is easy for us to practice it outside of ourselves. I think people struggle with empathy so much because they're so mean and nasty to themselves.
Absolutely. I am big on telling people, give yourself grace.
Yeah.
You have to, because you're all you have at the end of the day. And if you can't give yourself grace, then what are we doing? So I 100% agree with that. Like, have you really been that person to your own self? That's huge, because you're right. If you can't even do that, how can you then do that for someone else? Wow. How can people find your book? Where can they find you? I know you're on the TikToks, but where else can they find you if they need to find you?
I'm on TikTok. That's where I'm at the most. You can also find me at my website, tammytriolo.com. And soon you'll be able to find me on YouTube. I have a show coming, so you'll be able to find me on YouTube. But you can find me all my handles: YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok is Delusional Influencer, because I am delusional enough to believe that I can influence the world.
Oh, and you are, okay. Well, when that podcast or when that YouTube pops off, make sure I need to be on there, because now that we were talking about what you do, which I knew what you did, but then I'm like, wait, my research is simple, different industry, but the stuff
I definitely will have you on that, because I think the work that you do in healthcare is so critical, especially about the disparities for Black bodies.
Yes. And we often forget about the Black workforce. Like, yes, we care about the Black bodies, the patients and the folks outside, but what about the folks that are doing the work in these spaces that were not built for us? Don't let me get down. I'll be going to start going down that road. Don't get me started. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much, Tammy, for joining me tonight. I promise I'm going to get more on TikTok, because I be like, man, where is Tammy? And I know where you at, so I just need to go over there where you at.
Come on back over to TikTok. LinkedIn is dead, honey. It's finished.
I know it is.
And I know them Zios are killing y'all over there. I know. And I know it's heavily censored over there. And so come back over to TikTok. I mean, it ain't, the censoring there too, but there's still enough organic content making its way through in a way that it will never on LinkedIn. So come back over to TikTok. Okay, I'm gonna try. I'll make that promise that I will try. But thank you so much for joining. And I might have you come back, because we got to have, there's more. I know there's more conversation to be had, but thank you so much. We're going to go on commercial break, and then we're going to come back with the doctor's notes. See you next.
Oh my gosh, I had so much fun. That was fun. All right, let's go to the doctor's notes. My final thoughts. We're gonna wrap up. Powerful conversation with Tammy. What stays with me is her reminder that empathy is a practice. It's not this passive thing. Some of us, I feel like, are inherently have it, but we can also sort of build it and create it. We build it through courage, curiosity, and care. For those of us who have it, I feel like I am one of those people. Especially being a Black person, it feels like affirmation, like, okay, I'm not crazy to be the way that I am and see the beauty in people and different than myself. I mean, it's also an invitation, right, to keep leading with love. I always tell people you can never go wrong with doing the right thing. And often the right thing means leading with love. But you can create some boundaries around that too. Take care of yourself first. If you want to learn more about the book, I purchased mine on Amazon. But you can also find her. She mentioned where you can find her on TikTok and all her other social media handles. So please make sure you do that. Okay. All right, y'all. We closing out because we got 1 minute and we got to get up out of here. All right, y'all. You know where to find me. I'm on LinkedIn, and I've been hearing, a number of times I need to get back onto TikTok, but I'm not there yet. But I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me there. Instagram. I'm more so active on my Insta stories. So if you want to really see what I look at and see on my social media, follow me on Instagram and look at my Insta stories. Okay. I have a beautiful website, www.nicoledvick.com. You can go there. You can see all of my books. I have 3: Pushing Through, Finding the Light in Every Lesson, Push Through, 52 Weeks of Light and Tough Times, and this beautiful anthology. I actually did a presentation a couple days ago with some of my co-authors, Triumph in the Trenches, and we were presenting to some educators over in New York. So I'll be up at 5 a.m. doing stuff in New York. Yeah, I'll be working. Anyway, thank you so much for joining. Next week will be our Thanksgiving episode. Might bring some special guests, maybe not. I don't know. But it's going to be fun either way because it just is. All right, you guys, I will see you next week. Take care. Bye.
Thank you for watching Pyro Media Network. For more information, please visit pyromedianetwork.com.